This is probably the most fun I've had in DDO so far with any build I've played. This is my first Artificer life. We'll go into more detail about why I like it. For example, it's the most tankiest I've ever been, even in bad gear, and much more. If you're just here for the time codes, you can find them below in the description box. And while you're down there, hit that like button. But welcome back. The name is Wolf, and the night is falling upon my Artificer. We're level 30. We're prepping for a true reincarnation into a regular heroic reincarnation all the way back to level 1 to try out some new stuff, whatever that might be. Maybe Warlock, who knows. But yes, this build has been absolutely phenomenal. Despite being in embarrassingly bad gear, it is the most tankiest I've ever been. It's the most sustained I've ever been. It has the most burst damage I've ever had. The most clear. And its single target is also really, really good, but highly gear dependent, as you can see on this mummy right here. It's going to take a while, because once the burst damage is passed, it does take a hot minute to chew through things that don't want to die instantly. And that's gear related, and I don't have a lot of good gear. But other than that, a single click to full heal yourself and a low cooldown, including others around you, is incredible. You can do pretty much everything. You can cleanse curses, diseases, poisons. You have a lot of utility. You can bring buffs to your party as well. Everything feels snappy because of the meta magics. Your rune arm that you can use while meleeing is absolutely peak Battlemage vibes, to the point where I now wonder if I can put rune arms on any build ever, because they just feel that much fun to play. Although the stable charges is what makes them really good for melees. I doubt it, but who knows what is out there. Love the rune arms. Love the epic Destinies combined with it. I was expecting some issues due to having a primary AoE heal stunning epic strike. Turns out, stunning everybody, really good stuff. And even I've done some raids as well. I've done like the Moorgrave raid, like Abath, which is quite tricky if you don't know what to do there. That's a nightmare and a half, but we did it. No quiver though. And Moorgrave, which is incredibly punishing in terms of damage, especially if you mess up the mechanics, which we did. We just survived because we have that much tankiness innately without even wanting it or gearing for it, as well as just so much sustain. I can't wait to go into detail as we close this chapter on the Battlemage, Artificer, and move on to something new in the future. But yes, let's first talk about how this build was put together and what I would do differently moving forward. I'm hanging out with Fred here. He seems to want something from me, but what I can tell you is that we have our enhancements right here. As you can see, Battle Engineer is our primary one. The Tiefling is useless. Don't worry, I have 1 racial point from my past lives. I just spend it to get rid of the notification. We're not using Bloodhunt. We are using Thundershock Imbue. That's our bread and butter. That's the thing we're trying to scale. Furthermore, I picked up every core, as you can see, and went all the way to the tippy top and spent most of my points, 41, in the Battle Engineer as a primary build. Now, as you can see, a lot of Bastard Sword. We are using a Bastard Sword, lots of strike through. We also get a bunch of health, which is really good. Also a nice clicky whose charges we amp up with extra action boost. We have faster rune arm because we can use rune arms while meleeing without interrupting our melee, right? It's just free damage as long as you click the button. It feels very, very good to use, especially with all the stable charges. Since we are melee and running around constantly, stable charges are necessary, mandatory even. A little bit of good stats for skills since we are trappers as artificers, which is a whole new way of looking at the game as well. And I still die due to traps, but we're just going to ignore that. Agility engine, incredible value. Double strike, imbue, more melee power. A little bit of movement speed feels very good, especially since we are wearing a rune arm, and anything that gets amped up with a rune arm feels good. Weapon attachment, just more damage. I did not opt for the Thundershock weapon. I did not think it was worth spending 3 skill points, because I would have to give up a potential heal or have to give up know the angles. Now, admittedly, I don't have know the angles because I went for the heal, although in hindsight, having played as much with Mending Burst right now, and if I had better gear, I really wouldn't need Reconstruct as much, since you can also get it as a spell just in a jiffy. So you can probably drop the 3 points and get Know the Angles, which is a very, very powerful trance, which would have been phenomenal. Ironically, though, we have taken the Reconstruct because I just did and I haven't changed it back. I got used to it. On top of that, we did take 5 cores, including Radiant Force Field, which you can also get as a spell. So you have 2 options to click. They don't share a cooldown, so you can have a very long period of time where you have a large amount of damage reduction, which I wasn't even using, yet it definitely saved me in Moorgrave. So that's really, really awesome. Also a nice little AoE heal. It gets amped up a little bit, which can save your fleshies. We did pick up Easily Fixed for the amps, a little bit of health, a little bit of armor. If you don't want to heal fleshies the normal way, you can convert one of them and then heal them with the Mending Burst like I was doing most of the time, which feels very good. You can also buff them. There's a lot of buffs for yourself and your team, so you're very much you're contributing to the team even if you don't contribute to the team, which is always a nice little feeling. So even if you're useless, you're useful. Reinforced armor. We're wearing heavy armor, so a lot of value from this 50% armor class bonus. We're wearing heavy armor because we can't use evasion, so we're using embedded component. As a result of embedded components, so we're trying to maximize the MMR and PRR values, which has made us very tanky. I've played a lot of evasion builds before this, and this is by far my tankiest, which has no evasion, which has been an interesting experience. A little bit of intelligence right here, obviously. Kinetic charge feels very good. If we're fighting, we get more AC for a single point. That's just value. Yeah, and then 3 points of reconstruct, which are not really necessary. So if you want more healing for yourself, for your pet, for others, you can do that. Otherwise, you can just go into more damage, which is what I would recommend in hindsight. Speaking of the Harbor Tree, though, single point and then intelligence modifier to hit, because we use a spell to get intelligence to damage. A modifier from our spellbook as Artificer. And we had 2 points left, so we went with Harper Enhancements for the easy +1. Other than that, if we had universal points through a tome or something, I would definitely have gone into Know the Angles and maintained Reconstruct, because you only really need like 1 or 2 points here to have like a really good uptime, because as you can see, the cooldown is 20 seconds, and at 2 points, it's already a minute long. So just, if I had some universal tomes, I definitely would have picked that up. If I had like a lot of racial points, I probably would have picked Scorch, and I would have gone with a fire-based Artificer, because I saw some really cool items drop in Moorgrave. I think they're called Ignition and something Drive. Fire Drive? Demonic Drive? Demon Drive? Something. Looks like an incredible weapon as well. Lava dripping mechanic, I believe it is. Which looks like a very, very fun time. And there's a lot of like cool stuff that would have made more sense for us in the Epic Destinies, which we will now discuss. Because the Epic Destinies kind of threw me for a loop beyond the macro technique. Because yeah, macro technique is a must-have if you want to use a rune armor as an Artificer. There's a lot of value to be had. Currently we went up to 3 because we're not level 32 yet. Other than that, we picked up the mandatory Mending Burst. This allows you to heal yourself on a short cooldown. Even in Reaper, you can heal yourself for thousands, which is insane. In Reaper, it's insane. On a 6-second cooldown, it's insane. We have blast shields for some value and natural 1 protection. I went with Tungwin's Lightning Hammer. That's the hammer you can that you can summon and press upon people's skulls for lots of lightning damage. Probably one of my favorite spells so far in the game. It just is punchy. It feels very Battlemage-y. It has my favorite element. It just feels very good. Also, not too long of a cooldown, but just a little too long to be able to spam it, sadly. Rune Arm use, more stable charge, which is very important because we're running around this melee constantly, right? So stable charges is what allow us to really amp up our Rune Arm. Fluidity, we use this for the removal of the arcane spell failure, since we are using heavy armor and it does affect the scrolls and such. So this allows us to fix that. We're using the force field generator because I am using a rune arm, so I really wanted to build into that, it being my first time. So it's very defensive, but as you can see, the benefits get greater with a rune arm, which is what we're using. So we build it all the way up to getting more tankiness, a little bit of spell resistance, which doesn't seem all that exciting, and a little bit of spell power. But more importantly, 20% additional max HP. Incredible. More rune, more bonus imbue dice as well. A little bit of double strike, obviously. The drive that I've chosen for here is Spark because of electrical damage to make my rune arms even better. Also a blast drive. Every single time we press that Mending Burst on a 6-second cooldown, we stun people around us. Even without any focus on evocation DCs or bonus rune arm DCs, it stuns people regularly, even in Reaper, which is impressive. I think I even stunned a Reaper at some point, or that might have been something else. I don't know what the hell happened, but I stunned people constantly, and it's been really, really good. So if I can just a little bit of DC here and there, I'm pretty sure it is gonna be absolutely perfect. So you're healing yourself and AoE stunning. It's incredible. A little bit of spell power here too. Armor of Legends is why we take as many drives as we can, because as you can see, if you have Epic Mage Armor as a feat, which we do, you get a bunch of benefits based on the drives, and we have things like Spark Drive and Blast Drive. So as you can see, for example, on the Blast Drive, +3 action bonus boost to saves. Just very, very good, right? We have Maximum Overdrive. This is just a long cooldown, 5 minutes, but it makes you essentially go Super Saiyan. This is really good for raid bosses, or if you have a particularly tough mob, or you just really want to bring the pain. This is really, really good. Now, when it comes down to the other Destinies, I got a little confused. I ended up going with Draconic Incarnation. But yeah, Primal Avatar seems really good as well. Although I feel like Primal Avatar would have been better if we had gone with Fire, which I would need more ratio points for. Because there's a lot of fire stuff. The Lightning Stormcatcher stuff did not feel very good to use. Spring to Summer did feel good to use, but wasn't very effective. Because we're not fire-based. I did pick up the Nature Sky for the points, as well as Nature and Bird of Wind. Although, ultimately, due to my sufficient and efficient healing, I didn't really use Rest Shrine, so this ended up actually not being all that effective most of the time, unless we were in a very long dungeon or in a raid and we just needed to heal. Having that said, though, Draconic Incarnation was a good, solid pickup. Blue, obviously. Picked up the Lightning Breath, because my point, or my goal was to maybe get to the point where I can get Energy Burst, because upgrading your Blue Dragon Breath seems mandatory. I don't like the line at all. I ended up not really using it as a result. The Imbue dies are very, very nice. Getting some additional Natural 1 protection is solid. So it ended up being quite a value tree, but since I only have 17 points if I cut Primal Avatar, and I would need at least to get here to 20 points total, so 21 total to be, I think it's a 21, 22? 22 total points. I would need at least another 5, right? At least another 5, and I don't have any tomes, so I would need a couple of more levels to be able to get that, to make that feel very good. But yeah, I hope maybe one day I will have enough racial points so I can do a fire version, so I can explore things like Spring to Summer, and the other interesting heal, which is Reborn on Fire, which is like a large AoE around you that also heals your team. So we can really play in that hybrid kind of archetype, which is good, where my presence is both hurting the enemy and helping my team, which really plays into the buffs as well that we bring and all the other good stuff. In terms of Reapers, we haven't really done anything special. As you can see right here, I'm just trying to go for the first 2 universal stat bonuses because they work outside of Reaper as well. I'm just trying to get the value there. Other than that, though, let's go a little bit into skills, because I did wish I built a little differently. We picked up Balance, the bare minimum. Well, not the bare minimum. You only need 7 to be able to maximize your single weapon fighting. I just kept pushing points because we had them. Disable Device is mandatory. Jump, as long as you can get the 40 jump in some way, you're fine. So with a pot here of +30 pot or a +30 spell, we're way over. I also found a 3+ tome this life, so I'm way over, because I only spent 6 points, but now in future lives I only have to spend really 3 points to be safe. 3 points, spend them, then I will have 3 from the tome, which puts us at 6, and then +4 from the guild buffs, which is putting at 10, right? So that's going to be more efficient. Open Lock is mandatory. Repair, I wish I did not spend my points on Repair, because we have such excessive healing. This is not really doing anything. I wish instead, because of my tankiness and excessive healing, that I had spent them on Intimidate, so I would have been able to use the active part of Intimidate to taunt, and actually not only allowing me to protect my squishies around me, but also do more damage, because if people are being chased by the enemy because they just did more damage, because they're pure casters, for example, and that you can't keep up because the enemies keep running away, you end up doing a lot less damage as well, right? So taunting is actually a damage up for our build in a weird way. So I wish I had gone with that. Surge is mandatory. Spellcraft is mandatory. Well, not necessarily mandatory, but it's like it's free damage, right? Surge is mandatory for the traps. We have a little bit of spot action as well, just to deal with those traps as well, once again, and God knows what else. Use Magic Device, not mandatory, but I strongly recommend it because it allowed us to use scrolls, which is also what we build around, which is why we took the Arcane Spell Failure protection, right? By removing the penalty from heavy armor through Fluidity. On top of that, we have not a whole lot else, actually. No, that was it. Pretty much was it. We have a lot of skill points that we spent, and we could even optimize it further. But yes, those are the skill points I've gone. The big takeaway is don't use repair, go intimidate instead. At least for me, that was the big takeaway. Feats. Feats. This is where things get a little interesting. Destiny feats embodiment of law. Not by purpose. It doesn't really matter because it gives it a bit more tankiness. But I was going to be chaos or harbinger of chaos for the double strike. But like I said, I ended up clicking create as opposed to randomize. So my alignment was wrong. And also my race was wrong. And I can't change my alignment very quickly. Unfortunately, because I already used my free heart to change my skills. And I didn't realize... It's a whole thing, all right? I just messed up. I clicked the wrong button. Fortunately enough, it's not the biggest of deal. We're just a slightly bit more tanky compared to the slight amount of damage we would have gained from Harbinger of Chaos, because they both give 2+ imbue die, which is the big thing. Epic Mage Armor is mandatory, not because it's 20+ armor bonus to AC, but it works with our Epic Destiny, right? Because of Armor of Legends. Single perfect weapon fighting. Because we're using a Bastard Sword, which has the properties of both a two-handed weapon and a one-handed weapon. So perfect single weapon fighting is incredible for this build. As you can see, bonus melee power, crit-related stats, just wonderful. We also picked up Overwhelming Crit, because more crit, obviously. We went Scion of the Plane of the Air. 3 imbue die, bunch of spell power, bunch of DCs. Very, very good. There's also effect with the Mending Burst stun AoE, right? Now, I would have preferred the fire version. Speaking of the fire version, because the fire version actually gives you tankiness, where this gives us dodge, which we don't really do. So the fire feels more like Juggernauty, where this is more like flexible. And I am neither flexible nor a true Juggernaut yet. But yeah, Scion of the Plane of Fire would have been more appropriate. But we are not fire-based, we're lightning-based. So I went with air. The 3+ imbue die and all the other stats are just very, very nice. Let's see. I did go with Arcane Initiate because I had a feat left that I didn't know what to do with. And there weren't really any good options. So I just picked my Wizard Past Life just to get more DCs. That's about it. That's all I really did. Nothing else. Let's see if there's anything else that we picked up. Yeah, we have Construct Essence. An improved Construct Essence. This makes us able to essentially be a pseudo Warforged and get like proper healing from repairs. This also gave way to Construct Exemplar, where improved Construct Essence or being a Warforged is necessary. If we were a Warforged, I would have been able to save 2 feats and use them for other things. So, yeah. But like I said, we had an extra feat left, so is that really necessary? Who knows? Who knows? What else do we have that perhaps we should talk about? These are all the single weapon fighting. We did pick up an offhand versatility as well because of the additional imbue die due to our rune arm. Obviously, we did pick up insight for reflexes. We have low dex but high intellect, so this makes a lot of sense. A lot of content. Feats. We do have improved critical slashing weapon because we don't have a weapon that has, keen. And a lot of Bastard Swords just have terrible crit ranges. So getting that increased in any way possible is going to be huge. An improved critical does just that, which is really good. Empower, Maximize, and Quicken. Empower and Maximize actually work on our rune arm due to our Epic Destiny. Was it our Epic Destiny, I believe? Yes, benefit. Your rune arms now benefit from the Maximize and Empower and Intensify meta magics. So maybe I should have been able to pick up an Intensify as well. Maybe that's an angle. Although I'm not sure what that would have done for us. We did also pick up, of course, the mandatory Bastard Sword proficiency. We can pick that up as a Artificer bonus feat, so that's not really that much of a problem. As long as you have enough strength, which was a whole deal as well at the beginning, if anybody remembers. But yes, just make sure you have 13 strength for that in one way or another. And that's pretty much it. That's it for feats. In terms of spells, we have picked up... Yeah, we get the repair and inflict for free because we're Artificer. I did pick up some early healing, some early ablative armor, which also gets improved due to our build. So ablative armor is actually really, really good. I think it's another Epic Destiny. Yes, your ablative armor now also blocks 20 points of damage per caster level with no cap. So this little level 1 spell makes you incredibly tanky. Resist energy, always good. Enchant weapon is pretty much useless, much like Conjure Bolts, but it's nice to have early game. Bashink weapons, We also have Toughened Construct, which is still giving us AC. The Insightful Strikes, if you don't have Harper yet in the early stages, is fairly good. Or if you haven't spent the points yet, I mean. Lucky Cape, I still use that. A little bit more healing. Shield of Faith Mass, wonderful. Adamantine Weapons. Personal Augmentation, Insightful Damage is the one I keep using myself. This is how we can save points on Harper, because we have that Harper to hit, and then we have this Augmentation to damage, which stacks with a personal buff, such as Greater Elemental Weapons, which would give us 2 alchemical bonuses to imbue die. Very good. Stone Skin is very good for tanking, especially early game. We have Remove Diseases, which has been very good. We also have Remove Poison. More weapon types. We also have Lightning Bolts, which debuffs the enemy to take more lightning damage. It doesn't strip lightning immunity. It just makes them more susceptible due to lightning if they are capable of taking lightning damage. Armor of Speed is essentially our version of Haste. It's very good. Does everything Haste does except movement speed, but we have other means of getting movement speed, so that's pretty much the same. Planar weapons in case alignments are needed. Cure critical wounds. We have another Radiant Force Field spell, which is different than the SLA from our enhancement. It's different. This is an SLA. This is a spell. They have different cooldowns. Remove Curse. Very good, especially if you have Mummy Rod, because then you can just do Curse and then Disease. Deadly Weapons. Lots of people like getting this buff, especially in the raid that I had. Elemental Mass, obviously. Tactical Detonation I didn't like as much because people kept saving against it. Had I had a better reflex DC, I probably would have loved it. And even though we have a bad reflex DC, Arcane Tempest does a lot of work due to the way it works. So it's nice to have that in case you come across a lightning immune target. Has been a bit of a lifesaver. And that is pretty much the build so far. So let's take a look at it. We have our spells right here. We have our Epic Destiny right there. Incredible. So that is pretty much the build. For most of it, it's incredibly tanky, surprisingly fast despite having no movement speed. Thank you, Tactical Mobility, and of course Epic Overdrive for the fun moments. Incredibly versatile. It can do anything you would want. You can specialize it even further if you felt the need to. And you can indeed improve upon it, which is something I definitely need to do when it comes down to our gear. So, because if I take a look at my gear right now, it is kind of embarrassing. I did end up using the Morning Lord's Bastard Sword, which is more of a fire sword, more so than a lightning, but it's the best I had. I'm using the Archaic Device. I think it's a little better, perhaps, due to potency and elemental absorption, compared to the Revel one, the level 21 Night Revels one. Although those projectiles are better, these one kind of have the audacity to just go sideways a little bit and then hit walls, which is a little frustrating. I wish they fixed that. It's a little annoying. The quiver is nothing. I am using a legendary Salt Iron Plate, which is from Saltmarsh that I had laying around. I'm still using Acolyte's lenses because I've not been able to find a better helm. I'm not joking. Or lenses. Speaking of not having been able to find a better helm, I literally farmed for a helm. This is the best I had because I needed True Seeing. We have Legendary Ward Inscribed Pendant. I'm trying to put some set bonuses together. I still have the Epic Voice of the Master, obviously. Love that thing. Legendary Mantle of Fury, as I'm working on my Mist set. Belt of Wicked Insanity to get some more intelligence. Keylock Ring, because I needed some, Trapper stats, and this was the best one I had laying around. Still using the Epic Glove of the Claw with the Epic Bracers of the Claw set bonus. We're using 21 Black Feathered Boots, which is pretty much only there for the plus 30 speed. And then we have a little bit of stats here on a Whispering Ring, which are just not doing too much, but it's the best I had. All the other rings I found were absolutely even worse, believe it or not. So yeah, my gear is pretty bad. I'm trying to farm up more epics. I'm trying to farm more Salt Marsh sets as well. I'm trying to get maybe a legendary set bonus here from the Ravenloft. Although I really want the set bonus from Masterminds of Sharn, specifically Moorgrave, and I want one from the Sharn Docks, which are really good. Although the family sets are really nice. They're like Devil and the other one. So good. So good. But I never saw them drop. I did farm them. I even farmed them out of level just to be able to run them faster. I did not get a single piece. But hopefully the future will be brighter, because we will be changing into a new build. I'm not sure yet what could have Battlemage vibes. I want to do Monk, but I want to be able to use a Quarterstaff Monk, so I need to find a way to get more strength on my, or strength tomes first. +5 or higher preferably. I'm saving up for the free-to-play pack with my DDO points, so it's going to be a long journey. Other than that, we also still have Favored Soul and Cleric on the line, although I have not been able to find an angle that seems positive towards Battlemage stuff. Maybe I'm missing something, but it doesn't feel very possible. It seems very much more like a melee unit that can buff himself, especially if you take a look at Holy Sword and such. Not a lot of Battlemage vibes, just like melee fighter vibes that can buff. And then there's Warlock, which does have a lot of Battlemage vibes, but it also seems very confusing and gear-related if you want to do proper melee, because there is not a lot of melee support in Warlock itself. A little bit in Enlightened Spirit, which is what I am planning on using, but not a whole lot beyond that. And it seems better served on an Iconic, so I can turn Undead as Dhampir while getting greater Death Aura with the Dark Bargainer archetype, but I don't have the Iconic. So, I don't know. We're kind of brewing still, since I already done a Druid run and a Bard run and a Wizard run, and the Sorcerer's very similar to the Wizard run after all. So, we're brewing. I'll keep you guys posted. If you have any suggestions, let me know. Otherwise, have a good night, take care of yourselves, and I'm going back to the drawing board. Thank you so much. I'm out.